Chilling all day, all in your space is where I wanna be. Here in this room, what did you do? I just can't get enough. Too caught up in your love. I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you. Yeah, you always make me feel like home. Yeah, you never leave my thoughts alone. Yeah, you're the reason I'm going out my mind. I just can't stop thinking about you.
Dear brothers, it's about quality, not quantity.
So guys, it should be your conversation, the way you flow, your presence is enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
All right, my people, and welcome back to the most mature relationship podcast out there. I'm your host, author Tramel Lawrence, relationship advisor, and I'm here with my brother, my ace, the accountability coach, Carl, my man, and I'm here to break down, man. We are live on this beautiful evening. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Twitch. We are live on YouTube. So thank you all for joining us on this beautiful evening. And to those who are watching on YouTube, please make sure you hit that subscription button and hit that notification bell, so that way when the show appears, you'll be notified of these great episodes. So before we get started, my man, my brother Carl, man, what's new and how you feeling this week?
And I tell you, doing good. One of those little weeks you get little bumps, speed bumps. You just keep on driving over them and staying positive, right, with stuff. But like I said, no complaints, bro. Just watching the continual saga of the social media world.
What's popping in the social media world, my brother?
Oh, just taking it for what it is. You see all these different things that come up.
Mm-hmm.
And, the regular conversations that continue to go, and I just keep saying to people, when do we stop the bantering back and forth? When do we stop fighting one another? And I'll say this, what do people really want? Healthy relationships?
A good question.
Or do they want, situationships? That's how I look at it. Do you really want a healthy relationship or a situationship? And I think, I see a lot of posts out there, people want to slam, women slamming men slamming women, is back and forth. And I'm like, how can you say you want a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, but you're constantly talking negative about them? If that's your viewpoint, you'll never attract what you want. I mean, it's just that simple. Yeah. Even in jest, people say, oh, I'm just joking. Mm-hmm. But your potential partner could be watching what you post, and they're like,
so true, brother.
And they're like, oh, if you joke like that, how do I know that's a joke? They don't know you. So the toxicity continues to rise to the top. I know some people say it's a fake war. There's a level to it, and I think where it is fake, but I think in the most part, I think a lot of people have run with it and they think, hey, this is exciting. Let me see how toxic I can be. Let me see, if I can go viral by being toxic.
I'm glad you brought that up, man. I mean, just to hear your thoughts on that, and you mentioned that the war is going on, man. I feel like everyone outside of our community are spectators. Mm-hmm. They're coming in to enjoy the sport, and I think some of them are aware that if the family is the focal point, if that was the unit, things will change dramatically in our community. But I have to say, brother, and maybe you can I want to hear your thoughts on this, man, but I think a lot of it has to do with our culture, because a lot of it does promote side pieces, situationships, how to be happy in these revolving door relationships. They take the badge of honor of single motherhood, to take the badge of honor of a absent father. As long as you have money, if you have a lot of money, you're a great father, even though you're not in a child's life physically. I mean, just so many things that come across against our community. Wouldn't you agree with that, my brother?
I do, and I think once we realize that we're damaging ourselves, it'll make life a lot easier. But it's like, who puts up the white flag first and decides to say, okay, enough's enough? Because as men, we've got to step up. We got to do better. We need to be more accountable, more responsible where we're depositing in our seed at, and who we're making a mother, of our children. As women, they need to do better of, being better choices of what kind of man do they want, raising their children, to be a provider, not the financial side, but being a provider of leadership, of understanding what respect is, and being a role model. That's part of provision from a man also. And I think we're missing that boat because we're so. I'm going to say this, and I'm sure I may get in trouble and take backlash for it. We did better when we were segregated. I have no problem saying that. When we were segregated, we did better. And the more we've had access to money, fame, the big houses, the cars, all this stuff, the more we've had access to that, the more it's destroyed our relationships and what we're working towards, because everything now is based off of materialism versus moralism.
There you go. You know what, brother? I totally agree with you on that, because now in this day and age is the consumer way of ideal of thinking. The money is put before the character. Someone's asked people, listen, my people, those in tune and watching the show, I want to give a shout out to Faye before I give you my thoughts on that. My brother Kerry, Nicole Sivelin, Danielle. Shout out to my sister Danielle, Felicia. Thank you all for tuning in, and those who haven't sent a shout out to, I'll do it throughout the show. But my thing is, and we discussed this offline, I think there is nothing wrong with having money. There's nothing wrong with using money as a stepping stone to make your life better. But I think the problem comes in when it's the love for money. The love of money is entirely different than, using money as a piece to make your family better and to provide and so forth. But when the love of money comes first, that means that you put that you worship money like it's your God. You'll worship money to the point that it comes before your family. You worship money to the point that this brother or sister, he's not truly a real man. We're not robots, but he's not truly a real man or a woman because this person is taking me to the Cheesecake Factory. Like, you're determining everything on money and materialism. And I think that's such a dementia way of thinking in relationships. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, my brother?
I agree. Like I said, again, are you looking for a partnership or a sponsorship? That's the reality of it. And again, there's nothing wrong with, desiring to have a man that will, be able to financially provide everything or mostly everything.
Right.
What are you bringing with that? What is your role going to be along that? If he's doing that, are you willing to partner and help take the responsibilities off so you don't run him in the grave? What's the flip side? The flip side is a man, if you're willing to take on that role, understand the weight that comes with that, do it, but don't complain about it. And don't pick the right woman that you're doing that for, because if you turn up broke or, she walks away when you go into a hardship because you don't have the money, that's on you because you chose wrong. You weren't looking at the things that she was like constantly having her hand out. So, but that's the problem. I think most people today want some type of sponsorship, men and women, and, or situationship, and they're not looking to be partners and grow together. They're not looking to work together. People say, oh, you're too old to be building at this point in time. I tell people, I went through a divorce, over 7 years ago. And I'm like, here I am having to rebuild because I had to pay off that debt. I had to do all these other things. I took care of my sons. It was no assistance. Right. So I had to rebuild. So you cut me off because you say, oh, well, why you're rebuilding? I don't want to build with you because of this, but it wasn't my doing. So sometimes we're losing out on people for that.
Yeah, man. I hear you, brother, man. And I think, very soon down the road, I said this season, we are going to have these more in-depth conversations about things like that, because again, it's destroying our community, and we need to change our mindset. We need to unlearn what we learned. And I don't think it's nothing controversial what you stated, that we were more as a unit during the segregated times compared to the times of today, because at that day and age, the roles were more magnified. There was more respect towards each other. And I use, and speaking of respect, your book is based off that, and I have the ticker at the bottom, coachandrecall.com. But for those that want to know more about how important respect is, please get his book, which is titled, and with other collaborators, You Say You Love Me, but Do You Respect Me? And I think that was one of the key elements back in those days, man. Like, shout out to, rest in power and rest in peace to Coretta Scott King and Martin Luther King, because I remember one thing that Coretta Scott King said about Martin Luther King was that she felt in love with his purpose. She didn't mention anything that I fell in love with this brother because of how much money he was making. And now it seemed like everything is reversed today as far as like our mindset. And I think that's really hurting us in the long run,
Yeah, I just want to add this real quick, and we can move on and bring out our amazing guest. And the Bible says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. And see, we skipped that part at the end. Everybody wants to stop at the beginning so they can say the woman's a prize, all this stuff. Healthy relationship is a prize, but he obtains favor of the Lord. And see, here's the thing: you take something on purpose. And see, you can have a man, I always say this, the right man, and this is documented, you can look it up anywhere, the right man with the right woman, his net worth increases four times. It's automatic when he has the right partner in his life. That is an automatic thing, 4 times. So sometimes it takes having the right partner to push you with things. I look at my amazing lady that I'm with. There are things sometimes she says to me, she's like, oh, I feel like I'm getting it. I'm like, no. You want the best for me, and when I'm in my best position and best version, I'm able to lead us even better. And I mean, I lead with her by my side. I'm in that lead hership position, but she wants the best out of me, so she pushes me to be the best, not nagging, not fussing, but she's like, hey, why don't you look at this? Why don't you do this? Hey, this, and that makes a big difference, and that's what's missing today. So I have somebody who is a gift from God, who is allowing me to obtain this favor and operate in this pursuit of favoritism from God and to reach my purpose. And I think that's the thing people are missing. You as a woman, you may be the missing piece. But hold on, let me say this. You were the missing piece to that man many times his puzzle. Because think about it, God took a rib from man. So I need that rib back so you can protect me, so I can breathe properly. I'm protected now. I'm fully protected because you're my rib that's been placed back in to protect my lungs and my heart. And by you protecting that, now I can do what I got to do. And I think a lot of people miss that part of what a relationship is, and they want everything. They want a finished product, and that's not reality. God could be sending you a man making $40,000 a year. You might be making 90, he's making 40, but him getting with you, and in 2 years you're no longer working. And I've seen situations like this. You're no longer working, and he's making over $300,000 a year. I know situations like that. He just needed the right woman in his life, and I think this is what's missing in our community.
I mean, brother, the way you're describing it, man, Tyler Perry may have to make Acrimony Part 2 when the brother, the brother became filthy rich at the end, and hey, man, you gotta. Okay, listen. I know we're gonna keep it going because we got to bring our guests into the studio. It's a very intriguing topic. It's funny, like how some people will state, like, "Oh man, the brothers out there, some of the brothers," and we got to take accountability for ourselves as well.
Yes.
But multiple women sleeping around, doing this, having multiple, you're not King Solomon.
No.
No. And even, I mean, I was reading my Bible just last week, and I noticed every single brother in the Bible that was out there having multiple partners, there was some sort of negative outset or result that happened to those brothers that had negative partners. When King Solomon was doing his thing and swinging around and all this other stuff, I know God made a promise to his future generation that he was going to take something away. It's like it seemed like everything happened to the brothers that wanted to be a player. Because my thing is that that's why it's like one man and one woman, because the two become one flesh. You cannot become one flesh if it's three people, or if it's you and 10 other baby mamas. It just doesn't work that way, you know?
Nah, they need to listen. What did Joe say? I don't want to be a player no more. Right. What the song? I don't want to be a player no more. That's
you bring up the master, brother.
Yeah, that's what we got. They need to start singing it.
Well, listen, I wish I had the vocals, man. But listen, now I know those who are subscribed to our website, dearbrothersdearsisters.com. By the way, if you have not subscribed, make sure you do so. It's the official site to dedicated to healthy monogamous relationships. So those who are part of that community, you know, I feel you guys are reading the blogs, you are reading the books such as, you know, you love me, you say you love me, but do you respect me? You're getting the books like Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up, which is the relationship guide that can help you avoid these pitfalls. All these gems, all these tools. Listen, I know people that came to us, Carl, and it said that your material has changed our life. And right now, I feel like a lot of people these days, which we're going to touch on later on in the show, they are connected to the wrong GPS system. They're underneath the wrong leadership that are promoting these situationships, that are promoting these side pieces, that are promoting that it's okay to have, you know, as long as you have the money, you can still be considered a great provider, even though you're not physically there for your children. So, right. I mean, that's what we're going to touch on today, man. And speaking on that is the perfect segue for our show title. The relationship wasn't complicated. You just ignored the red flags. So what you think about this topic, my brother?
Yeah, this is going to be good. This is one of those situations where, you know, when I was, it was funny. Well, you see it on social media when they have relationship status and people have complicated, and I was like, what does complicated mean? You know, then when I was on the dating apps, you know, you sit there and you see complicated, and I'm like, complicated. What's complicated? You know, what is complicated? So yeah, I'm gonna say what I really want to say, but this is gonna be good. I'm ready for it.
Oh, I'm ready for it too, my brother. So you ready to bring our guest into the studio?
Let's go ahead and do it.
That's what I'm talking about, man. So listen, class in session. So our first person and our only person that is coming into the DBDS Live studio. Listen, I understand this woman, she has a positive affirmations, plenty of positive affirmations that she shares with people. She's an author. She's also an excellent mentor, an excellent mother. I'm excited to have her back on the show. I want to welcome back my sister, Angela, to DBDS Live.
Hello.
What's going on?
Hello, my sister. I know you wanted to jump into that conversation we were just having. so listen, so tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why you're on the show today.
Will do. So good evening, everyone. And thank you for having me here once again on the DBDS platform. I'm Angela Holloway. I am a certified Christian life coach, and people do come to me with questions about life, and I help them in every area that I can, because it is more than just a job. It's a calling for me. I love people. I'm a woman who loves women, but I also love men. So if we're talking about the gender war, now let's squash it, y'all. Let's throw up the white flag. Let's get together like we're supposed to be. If there's problems, let's fix it, but let's fix it together. So I'm excited about this evening's conversation because, like you said, class is in session. I'm not just here to talk, but I'm also here to learn.
Woo. Oh, goodness. I don't know if we should swap places, Angela. I mean, just by you just coming here, you and Carl may need to host the show. Very well said, my sister. I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up. We have to stop bickering with one another. This war has to cease. You know, it has to change. Our mindset has to change. So I'm glad you stated that. And I'm glad to have you back on the show. All right. So let's get right to it. So today this topic that we're going to talk about is going to hit on a lot of cylinders today. And the first subtopic that we're going to touch on, which is extremely important if you're looking for a healthy relationship, is address the red flags, right? So, I mean, what's extremely critical, I feel like, before you even take it to the next level with someone is you have to be honest with yourself and establish healthy boundaries. So, honestly, one deals with taking accountability and the other deals with taking responsibility to help you address the red flags. So, for example, if it's within your DNA that you need to have constant validation from outside sources, then that will suppress your genuine thoughts and feelings towards your significant other, because whatever they pouring into you emotionally or mentally will never be good enough for you. And until you change your mindset, then red flags will be a recurring theme within any relationship you have. And the second one is self-explanatory, where healthy boundaries allows you to see if your feelings are being acknowledged or you're not allowing your emotions to override your logic. Now, before I come to my sister Angela, this past week, which has been an ongoing discussion, Love is Blind season 6, the focal point in that show had to be about Clay and AD for the most part. And that within itself started, oh my God, Angela and Carl, like another civil war, So this was also a split conversation between the two. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video for the audience. And I just want to get your thoughts on the video and also the topic at hand. Here we go.
There were so many red flags with Clay, but Clay is a trying man, and I'm not the type to give up on a man that's trying. If he wasn't, then I would have walked away, but he tried every step of the way. Clay telling me he didn't want to let me down and didn't want to cheat also caught me off guard. It came out of the blue. And two, it did give me something to think about. Like, what am I doing? Like, what's really going on?
You do have family trauma that comes about. And I do think that I'm a work in progress. And I do believe that everybody's a work in progress. I pretty much came in and just wanted to let people know I'm not perfect. You can't be a red flag and have, just so many blessings come to your life. I would say the biggest issue is that in relationships, I need work on, So I do the show to build an emotional connection. Then I realize, okay, I'm doing all this work in my life and in my job, in my entrepreneurship, my business. I need to put the work in my relationship. So I think that was a little bit.
Okay. So a very interesting video and take from both sides. So Angela, I would like to get your thoughts on whether you thought Clay was, walking red flag, or AD did not see these red flags, or do you think he had a lot of emotional baggage that he needed to work on? And also address the red flags itself. How can those who are looking for a serious relationship address red flags in today's society?
All right, good. So I'll start with the second part of the question first, right? Because I remember it.
Okay, my bad.
So when it comes to red flags, I heard a man say recently, when we're dating, we should be dating to have the hard questions. Like, let's get the hard stuff out the way. Then once you decide this is your person, you guys are married, now you can go on the 5-star dates. Now you can do all the fun stuff. But let's get this hard stuff out the way, because we have done it backwards. We do all the fun stuff. We do all the vacations. We do it for the gram. And then we get married and we're like, who's this person? And so I like that man's idea. And so with that being said, let's address some of the things that are really going on with me, with my partner, and let's decide if we want to move forward. Let's not just get cute and do fun stuff together. And then later on, we're hit with these bombs that we didn't know about. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's reveal it. And so when it comes to Clay and AD, two very beautiful people. I know a lot of people are rooting for them. # Black Love, right?
Max, yep.
I started to follow them on Instagram after the show as well. They got their stuff together. And so when it comes to Clay, I would not call him a walking red flag at all. Okay. Much like he said, He's got so many blessings, so many achievements, accomplishments under his belt. He's a man who's focused, educated. He's doing his thing. Now, when it comes to relationships, he just said he may need some help in that area because of what he's seen with mom and dad, right? I think most of us can relate to that. I know I can. So with that being said, I think that as beautiful as AD is and all the things she is, she just wasn't his person. And I think that's okay. I'm old enough to remember back in the 80s, there used to be this book out that said, he's just not that into you. And the author was Oprah. Wow. And that was back then. It was really eye-opening. He's a good guy. You're a great woman. He's just not that into you. And so I would say that really holds true with the Clay and AD situation. From what I've seen of the show, he wasn't that into her. And she probably should have done something before it got to the altar. I'm not putting blame on her. I'm not putting blame on him. But right. I will say, if anybody was surprised by what happened at the altar, they weren't watching that show, because I wasn't surprised by it, because I just felt like he just wasn't that into her. So that's what I say about Clay.
Okay. Yeah, very well said, my sister. And just to piggyback on what you said, I believe, he could not commit to AD due to his past family trauma, which, from my personal opinion, suppressed his ability to connect emotionally and demonstrate the ability to respect and protect her emotions if they were to take it to that next level. So I think he actually kind of stopped that from occurring, which is related to a lot of broken people today. I believe that you have to put in the work to heal from your past relationships or bad experience, because if not, there's going to be a red flag in the next relationship. But Carl, first, what are your thoughts on the video, and how can those who want a healthy relationship address the red flags before they get too deep?
As far as the video, and I'm gonna go to Clay first. Yeah, I don't agree with him being a red flag. I've said it before, and we said it before we came on the show. I would say he would have been a red flag if he would have married her. If he just said "I do," that would have been a red flag, because he knew that wasn't for him to happen. And as watching the show again, he did not have the resources and the support from his parents like he should have. When they initially met and they were talking when he was with his mom, he didn't get the reassurance there. When he met with his dad, and I realized, like I said, when he met with his dad just before the wedding, I said, listen to his dad talking. It was more like a pep talk. Hey, let's go ahead and win one for the Gipper conversation. Not really, hey man, you sure you want to do this? Is this, are you? There was no reassurance there. Hey, I got you. I'm gonna support you. Make sure your marriage makes it. Versus your mom and I not making. He didn't get that from either one of his parents, and so that's part of the trauma he was dealing with, and the toxicity. And this goes back to, you have all these people that want to run around, especially a lot of these, and don't knock the therapists, but there are a lot of them that make a lot of money understanding what they're saying, that, hey, kids are resilient because they know, hey, this is a divorce. I get to have the father, the mother, and the kids for however long, going to therapy, I have a paycheck. But that's not the case. There are people who suffer from their parents' relationships, whether they stay together, whether they get a divorce. We just need to understand there are things that happen that cause us to take a look at a marriage differently through the eyes of our parents or those who we've been surrounded by. I think with AD's situation, I think she ran into, she ignored a lot of different things when he was talking about, hey, I'm worried about cheating. About this. So immediately, that should have been a red flag when he's like, my dad cheated. I'm worried about cheating. That should have been a red flag. Like, okay, well, I need to go to counseling. Okay, you need counseling. We don't have enough weeks to get you counseling between the start of the show and the wedding date. So we don't need to do this. And so she said something that was, and a lot of people have not touched on this. One of the comments she made was, why does this keep happening to me?
I noticed she said that. Right.
I always talk about common denominators. That's all I'm going to say on that part. But I wish them both the best. I wish them both the time to get healing and recognize what their own insecurities or traumas that they're dealing with, so that they can both find a healthy relationship. It would be an amazing love story if they both worked through everything and ended up back together, got married, and lived happily ever after. That would be an amazing love story there. But again, that's different. As far as addressing red flags, I agree with Angela said. You ask the tough conversations. Who cares about what kind of steak you like? Who cares about, what's your favorite color? Do you like flowers? Do you want to go to the movies? Just who cares about that? Are you asking the questions about finances? Are you asking the questions about, what is your, here's 4 questions. I'll throw these out here. When you're dating somebody, ask these questions. Where does God fit in the middle of our relationship? Number 2, what are your expectations? If you're a man asking this question, but what are your expectations of me as a husband? What are your expectations of you as a wife? And why do you want to get married? Why do you desire to get married? Those are questions that need to be asked that we're not asking. And I believe most people are afraid to ask the tough questions because they may realize that person doesn't qualify for them, or they may not qualify for that person. And they're afraid of losing them because they're so engaged on the outside appearance that they have not decided to look inward on the individual. I always tell, I tell my girl all the time, hey, your looks got me, your inside keeps me. Your inside is what keeps me. What comes out of your mouth and your heart is what keeps me. And that's the truth. And that's when I've done work. She's done work. I know people who are in the same predicament. They've done the work. And we're having these tough conversations. And it's not all fun and games all the time. And I love it. Hey, ask the tough stuff and then get married. And then we can go party. We can go take the cruises. We can go take the trips. We can go out to all the different restaurants and do what we want to do and engage in that part. But most people are afraid to ask the tough questions, have the tough conversations for fear of losing that individual. And it's really sad. Are you willing to do it? Are you willing to put that kind of work in? Are you willing to sweat it out with this individual and sit and look eye to eye and say, this is what I need? Do you understand the expectations of it? I always talk about, as a husband, there's a level of weight that comes with it that is mind blowing. And I'm not going to go into it now, but do you understand what that weight is as a husband? I'm speaking from a man's perspective. So if you're going into a relationship and you want to be a husband, do you understand that weight? Can you articulate that weight to the woman that you want to be with? And will she be able to understand it? And if she's not, are you understanding that you need to walk away?
Very well said, my brother.
If I could jump in and reference something that you mentioned a few minutes ago, Mel, when you talked about past relationships, it occurred to me that when we're talking about past relationships, we're thinking about former spouses, former boyfriend, girlfriends. But one of the biggest relationships that we've dealt with in our past was our parents. And whether it's good relationship or lack thereof, that's really important. And so in the Clay and 8D conversation, and of course it's not about them, but we can use them as an example, right? When people were saying things like, well, because your dad cheated, what they got to do with you? That's a past relationship for him. And dare I say current, he's still in a relationship with his parents. And so that is not necessarily red flag, but that is important. Like that relationship that we've seen with our parents really is going to color how we move forward as adults. So it shouldn't be ignored, and it should definitely be counted as one of our past relationships. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, and my thing is, you gotta have those moral codes, because my thing is those who repeatedly pick the same type of partners they're not equal in terms of their values and so forth, they're going to keep on repeating the same grade in high school, and you'll never graduate until you have learned those lessons from those past relationships. But let's go ahead and get the DBDS family involved and hit up some comments. The first comment that I want to touch on is
from Brother Floyd. Yep. Hello, my brothers. I'm looking forward to this show. I know it's going to be fire. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it, brother. Next comment here.
A huge problem in the Black community is the lack of fathers in the household. It affects generation after generation. Clay has deep-seated issues from the things his father exposed him to. That discussion between his mom and dad after the wedding was extremely raw and real. I commend the show for airing it and bringing the issues to light. Clay has a lot of work to do.
Okay. Yeah. Next one here.
This honorable mention: your partner expects you to do something for them. They don't ask, they demand it. Be it favors, money, gifts, groceries, gas, trips, etc. You get taken for granted. To me, that's a huge red flag.
Okay, we agree. We agree. And one more comment here.
If you are here and you have invested all your time, attention, emotion, and energy into a 1 day wager, the day you decide to let them know what you invested, they will say that they never asked you to. Think twice. It's better to invest in yourself to become the person that will attract the person you want.
Wow. Okay. I mean, as you stated, Carl, in the past, either you're going to be a liability or an asset. I mean,
Correct.
just thinking about that investment comment. Okay. Listen, thank you. Keep those comments coming in, my people. So right now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. This is such an amazing topic that we're touching up on. Do not go away. This is DBDS. We are talking about the relationship wasn't complicated. You just ignore the red flags. We'll be right back.
So many people are calling for police reform. And so because they're calling for police reform, they may not understand that there are many organizations who are already responding.
And I feel like you have to really get to know people, see if they share the same core values as you before you get involved with them.
I want to ask a question as to how we got to this place right here where mask wearing, where COVID-19, where public health is all politicized. I really want you all to think about this. How did we get to this particular point?
It's really a nice balance when femininity and masculinity can mix together and just create this awesome, experience.
All right. Welcome back to the DBDS Live Studio. I'm here with my DBDS sister, Angela, my DBDS brother, Carl, the accountability coach. And we've been talking about the relationship wasn't complicated. You just ignore the red flags. And listen, before we dive into our second topic, man, I'm such a science buff. Keep in mind that April 8th, they talking about is going to be an eclipse over the earth and everything like that. So be on the lookout. If it gets dark outside, don't be alarmed or anything of that nature. So that is around the corner. All right, my people.
But you know that we can see part of it. Carl, it's going to come through your part of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us in the Northeast, we might have to go a little bit north, but Buffalo or Niagara Falls, I'm just saying, a 6-hour drive from Connecticut, we can see it. So yes, I'm a science buff. I'm gonna be there too.
You better go out there, purchase your telescopes. All right, now onto the show. Okay, so our next subtopic that we're going to touch on that is such a great critical subtopic is stop accepting just any relationship title, right? Very important. A lot of people get into these pitfalls and these situationships and side piece roles. So before I share my thoughts and afterwards come to my sister Angela, I'm going to go ahead and play a quick video that's also related to this subtopic. So check this out.
He likes you, but he does not want to commit to you. And so this is where, as a woman, you really got to be mindful of understanding how to decipher the guy who's genuinely serious about you, which is why when people dismiss the need for titles, I scoff at that. I'm just like, whatever, that's nonsense. Of course there should be titles. Why, if someone is serious about you, why couldn't they give you a title? When we dismiss the need for titles, and I view titles as more so as putting an official stamp on what this is, we create an environment where we can have a more vague approach, which leads to more confusion, and which leads to situations where, okay, now, if we say, well, titles aren't important, I treat you like you're my girl. Yeah, but then months later, when you check that man, and he says to you, well, I never told you were my girlfriend. I never told you we were serious like that. Oh, you see how that no title thing, where it got you? You see how it bit you in the behind? This is why you got to be mindful of that. And again, I would argue I've yet to meet a man who's genuinely, seriously into a woman and want to be with her, and it's like, nah, but I can't give her no title.
All right. Okay. I mean, a lot of great gems within that video, and I touched on this very topic within my own book, Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up, and I label them as 3 different zones. So I did touch on the friend zone, where I believe that you have to develop a meaningful relationship or connection and see if those values align with each other. You know, this is the zone that you want to be observing that person to see how they communicate, to see how they handle conflict resolution. And most importantly, I don't believe that section I be involved during that friend zone status, right? The second level that I touched on was the intimacy zone. And this is where both individuals are more comfortable towards each other. They are exclusive towards each other and they both feel safe. They are more affectionate towards each other. And this is no difference than being courted in this particular zone. And the last one, I do talk about the physical zone. That's where the marriage begins. That's where the emotional and especially the physical connection is on a whole other level. And the title is fully established. But I believe that the problem today is too many people who are looking for a serious relationship sacrifice all their time, their energy, their resources for someone that they barely know. And it's almost as if that's a normal reoccurring theme within our society because it's a instant gratification dating landscape out there. So Angela, what are your thoughts on the video? And what advice would you have for those to stop accepting any relationship titles or being confused as to what a relationship title truly is?
Thank you. So yeah, my thoughts on the video. So I would say you cannot hold someone accountable to something they haven't signed up for.
Gotcha.
You know, it's just like at our job, we have a job handbook. And then if I violate any of those rules, now they can bring me into the office, into HR and talk about it. Well, sometimes in relationships, we're holding people to standards that they, one, don't even realize are standards. We haven't communicated that with them. And they never said, yeah, I'll rock with you. I'll do that. And we're holding them to those standards. A good friend of mine told me one time, I was talking to her about someone I was dating, and I said, he disappointed me. And she said, well, honestly, before someone can disappoint you, they have to be appointed. It's part of the word. They got to be appointed to something. And they have to agree to be appointed to something. And they have to agree, like I said, they have to agree to what it is that we're asking them to do. If they don't agree, if they haven't been appointed to a position, they can't disappoint you. And so if a man isn't actively pursuing you, then he's not actively pursuing you. And you can't sleep him into wanting you, sleep with him into wanting you. You can't like cash app him into wanting you. If he's not actively courting you, he's just not actively courting you. And so you can't say, I thought you were my boyfriend, because this man will make it very clear that he wanted to be exclusive with you or not. And I think that's the truth of the matter as well. I think it's not just a matter of what's not said. If it's not said, he's pretty much speaking something to you. If he's not taking you off the market or he's not looking to actively pursue you, then it's because he doesn't want to.
Woo! I mean, that is. Oh my goodness, man! I think I see the ushers going down the aisle right now. Oh man, they coming with the place out. Oh my goodness, here they come. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, that's it. So no, very well said, my sister. I completely see where you're coming from. A lot of people just think that the cash happened, the physicality of things, that it automatically makes it seem that they have a title, and the actions don't parallel with that. And that is so true. Carl, man, I mean, Angela made some valid points, man, just from a man's perspective. What are your thoughts on the video? And also, how can people stop just accepting any relationship title or get the title that they truly desire or deserve?
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to jot something down.
Yeah, class in session, bro. I'm taking notes too.
Yeah, I don't want to forget something. Yeah, so I'm gonna say, so as far as the video is concerned, I mean I agree with pretty much everything Stephen was talking about. So, but I'm gonna speak from a male's perspective. Number one, you have to set. But let me say this: the man is responsible for giving the title. The woman is responsible for accepting the title.
Right.
Yes, I want to say. So in that, there has to be clear boundaries set from the beginning, and they need to be realistic boundaries. So there needs to be clear boundaries. You need to have them. You need to set. What what are we doing? What are we dating for? I remember for me, it's like, hey, I want to intentionally pursue a relationship with you. That's so I'm making my intent known.
Okay.
And now it's up to her to say, hey, I'm open to that. If she doesn't say that, and she's like, well, let's see what happens, then even as a man, you have to be guarded to understand that she may have a rotation. She may have a full out bench. She might have a football team. You don't know.
Oh my God.
And so you can't get mad if you're out and you see her out with another dude because she never agreed to your pursuit. So wording matters, when you're having these conversations. So I say that to ladies too. If you have a man that's saying, hey, I intentionally want to pursue you, then he has a responsibility on his side to cut his bench off. To cut off his city or college of women off, whatever it is. He's got to cut it off. That doesn't continue to go on, any longer. But I will say this: if you ever have to question the relationship you're in, you're not in a relationship. If you have to question have to question your position within the relationship, you're not in a relationship. It's just that you shouldn't have to ask someone what the role is. You shouldn't have to ask someone, did you clear the bench? I posted something. I said, if you show up the way you're supposed to and do what you're supposed to the person that you're pursuing or the person that you want to be with, you don't have to ask them to clear their bench. It'll be their loss if they don't, but if they understand the value that they have in front of them. So you should never have to question your relationship status. You have to sit there and say, well, where are we? Or what are we doing? Then you're not communicating within the status. This is having those tough questions. Like I said again, and I'm coming to this last part. It does not, and I want you to hear this, ladies, it does not take a husband-minded man years to propose.
How about 8 years, brother?
It does not take a husband-minded man years to propose. And see, that's the difference there. So again, you should not have to ask where you're at. See, it's one thing you're talking, you're dating, y'all in the dating realm, you're going out exclusive, then you become exclusive, you go to courtship, and then there's a proposal. You should know where you're at every moment.
Gotcha. By
actions. Nobody's got to sit there and say, hey, where are we at today? It's March 17th. What's our status?
Where are we at?
No, I'm if he's sitting there and he's like, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm in this for permanent. It's just a matter of timing. You know where you stand. If he's talking to you that way, if she's saying, hey, I'm enjoying us, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. You know where she's at. It's just typical conversation. Yes, have tough questions and conversations, but when you're having them, that should be coming out. So you should never have to question that. But you waiting 8 years for a man to marry you.
8 years.
You're waiting 20, what was the Bishop Noel? What was 28 years the lady waited?
Oh,
I mean, I'm like, I feel sorry for that. The women who have been in those positions, I'm not going to, this is a whole nother show we'd have to do to really address some of those issues.
Gotcha.
But no, it doesn't take a man like that because the only reason why a man would do that is if he's playing games.
Facts.
I'm going to keep it 100. Only reason why a man takes that long is he's playing games. And he will ultimately do it to shut you up. A, he will do it so nobody else can get you. B, he will do it to see if you're really still committed to the relationship. C. Only 3 reasons why he's going to propose at that late in the game. If he's serious, I'm going to put it this way. If a man is serious, when he proposes, he's already going to have an idea of the wedding date.
Already planned.
He's like, look, we need to be getting married somewhere around this time period. Just pick a date. Pick a date. It's no games. But that's marriage-minded men. And so, and again, I know there are some people who make comments and say, well, marriage isn't for everybody. Just if you want a life partner, if that's what you subscribe to, then you need to have the same kind of conversation. And what does that look like? You know, what does that look like when you're together? You know, are we, you know, life partners, are we exclusive? Because again, it's not a marriage, it's a partnership. Life partners, you're just dating still in a sense, but you're exclusive. What are those boundaries? What are those rules? What do you set? What is that supposed to be? But again, like I said, there's a difference between that and marriage, but it should not take that long. And if you got a question, if you're sitting here right now and you've been with somebody for 6 months and you don't know where you're heading or where you're at, you've either not been communicating right or you're definitely not in a relationship.
Woo! Very well said, man. Woo.
All right. So much like Carl, I'm going to write that on my note really quick because there's two things I wanted to say to that if I could.
Sure.
Like Brother Carl said, Coach Carl said, oftentimes the question can be found, the answer can be found in the question. So much like he said, if I have to say, what are we? That's your answer. That's your answer.
Facts.
But something that I learned when I was going through relationship coaching, because as we talk about here, about doing the work, what does the work look like? I had relationship coaches. Yeah, I've been married before. I've been in relationships before, but this time I wanted to do it right. And so I got relationship coaches. They were a husband and wife. So that's why I say coaches. Awesome people. But we were taught about we language. When a man is serious about you, you're going to start hearing we language. If he says, I think I'm taking a job out of state, I think about buying this house, you're not in that. If he's like, we, us, ours, that's that we language that's really indicative of where he sees you in his future. So listen to that language from a man. As a woman, listen to that language. Don't force it. If he says, I'm going to go look for this job, don't say, what about us? You don't have to. We've already given you the answer when he says I. But when he starts talking about we, us, and ours, that's a really good indication that he sees you in his future. And that's what I wanted to say about relationship titles.
Hallelujah. Ooh. That's all I'm going to say. Yep. We say that we, and I'm making plans. I'm adjusting my future for you. Those are when you get them things, ladies, make sure you know your ring size. Make sure you know the style of ring you want. If you want whatever the shapes are, look, you might want to go get the dress fitted. If you need to hit the gym a little bit, if you got to, do what you got to do. Get it right. Get your wedding party list together. When a man starts speaking what she just said, that us, that ours, I got to. I'm trying to take some of this weight up off of you. I'm trying to figure out how I can help you out even more down the road. When you start hearing that is the verbiage of you don't have to ask where you're at. You just keep your nails done so when he proposes it looks right.
Oh, there you go. Oh man. Yeah, very well said. I mean, that we language and everything like that. I mean, so that's why I think it's also critical on how you present yourself on social media. My sisters, I want to also add some more advice to the sisters and the brothers out there. If you're communicating on social media, then I'm looking for a real the N word, or she's a bad bitch, anything of that nature. Then you don't have a relationship mindset at all, because that's already eternally telling me that you're looking for a situationship. You're not going to have a high quality partner if your mind is fixated on the situationships type of language. So also it depends on how you carry yourself, because people that are serious relationships can see right through it, and they will, trust me, skip right over you. So I just also want to bring that off to the forefront. So listen, we're going to go ahead and get the DBDS family involved. We're going to take a couple of more comments right here. Let me go to this one.
I did this a few years ago with my actual boyfriend. At that time, we were just friends. Later on, he came back as a much more improved version of himself and began to court me. So we became exclusive. We are now almost 4 years of relationship and about to get married. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Great topic, DBDS. Hey, seriously, Like, I hope you join the DBDS group on Facebook. But when you guys get married, like, post the pics up in there, because that is encouragement. We need to see more of that versus the toxicity that exists out there. But congratulations.
Can I comment on that really quick as well?
Sure. Go ahead, my
I
sister.
love how she said he came back. You know what people say about exes and all of that stuff? Like, I hope my ex drowns and all of that stuff. People cut themselves off at the foot. An ex could come back. People change, people improve. A lot of times that, it's like, what if that ex calls you? What are you going to say for them? And people have all these memes and all these things thinking they're so high and mighty. Somebody you need to answer the phone when that ex calls back. I'm just saying, because there's a different place that both of you were in at times, and now you're in a different place. But sometimes we're too afraid to admit or humble ourselves. This could still work. Like even how Coach Carl mentioned that Clay and AD could even get back together. I didn't even think about that, but that's true. We could see them later on in a later episode or later season hosting the show because they did the work and got back together. Who knew? But I love this comment because sometimes we just want to discard people because they came through our lives. But sometimes they come back and now look at them. So I love that.
Okay, very well said, my sister. Listen, and the sad thing is right now, in this environment, a lot of people are saying these negative things, stating that, keep him, he's toxic for life and keep him moving, or she's toxic for life, and whatever the case may be. It's almost as if people don't want to congratulate those that do the work and come back together in those circumstances. It tells me what, how they think of themselves really when they come off with that mindset. So very, very well said, Angela. I'm going to take one more comment right here, very long one.
I did this the other day with someone I have been in a situationship with for a year and a half. He agreed to be on his own. He's currently in another country on a trip. We'll be back in a month. Then I heard from him last night, profusely apologize and say he can see a future with me and has decided he wants to make it work and commit. I love myself too much to stick around without no true commitment or title involved. I have to see his actions.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. We always say listen to the actions, so that's very important. So listen, my DBDS family, we're going to go ahead and take one last commercial break, and when we come back, that's right, it is our Jerry Springer moment. So sit tight. This is DBDS Live. We'll be right back.
People are hemorrhaging. You are living off your sleep, and you're not living off.
Tremel Lawrence, author, relationship advisor.
One of the DBDS Facebook group.
Of family, the gift of love, the gift of family.
I don't think that's the key.
I think one of the biggest areas in the continue to talk about it because it's not addressed enough is self-awareness. Until you can be self-aware, you have no idea what your worth is. So you can define your worth whatever you want it to be, but you have no awareness of who you are.
I said that school is a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just take the home off the table right now.
Right.
If you don't feel safe in your home, you're going to another place that you don't feel safe at. So if you're a child, not an adult, you're using coping skills, which Eric mentioned, but how appropriate are those coping skills?
My brother, Carl the coach, contributed a chapter to an anthology. I got it in the mail this morning, so it means it was probably delivered yesterday, but I saw it today. Look, I already done read this much. Okay, don't judge me. All right, some of y'all get distracted by foolishness. At least I'm reading. Okay, look, this for my ladies who are dating with purpose, for you who are working on yourself and you looking for a man who's working on himself, this your cheat code. This your book right here. You need this book right here. When I tell you they giving us all the goods, they spilling all the tea in this book. They telling us how to love them, how to respect them, how to be their peace, how to be their safe space.
All right. She was you could tell my sister Tina read the book like 10 times, man.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the DBDS Live Studio. I'm here with my DBDS sister Angela, my DBDS brother Carl, the accountability coach, and we've been talking about the relationship wasn't complicated. You just ignore the red flag. And right now, before we go to our Jerry Springer moment, I just want to touch on to everyone that has been supporting us from day one. We want to simply say thank you. And as Carl mentioned at the beginning or the top of the hour, join the DBDS group, because right now, later on this year, we are going to host a live experience of DBDS Live, and we very much want you to be a part of it. All right. But we want you to join into the conversation. You can also catch us currently right now on the Pure Moment Network. So if you have Amazon Fire or Amazon TV, the Roku TV, make sure you check us out. Just download the Pure Moment app, and that way you can see DBDS Live right on that network. And we also available on audio podcasts such as Spotify. But before we touch on to the Jerry Springer moment, also you can catch us on the YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that subscription button, hit that notification bell, and that way you can be notified of these great, amazing shows as well as our amazing guests. Now it's time to pivot to our Jerry Springer moment, where we share our final thoughts for today's show. And first, I am coming to my sister Angela. Give the people who's watching your final thoughts for today's show.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for having me for this conversation. It was way too short, but
It went fast.
It went fast. I definitely enjoyed conversing with both of you gentlemen. I want to say to the audience, if you were looking at a house and you were going to buy a house, did you want a house you want to move into? And you saw like rats taking over the place and the pipes were leaking and things like that, you probably wouldn't buy that house. If you test drove a car and the tire fell off while you were turning the corner and the brakes didn't stop and you had to run up on the curb just to get that thing to stop, I pretty much guarantee you wouldn't buy that car. And so why are we doing this in relationships? Why are we we're meeting people with red flags, things that are our personal deal breakers, and we're still moving forward? Just to cry every night? Just to call your friends and say, this person did this and this person did that? Don't make it complicated. Just how there's a car out there that's safe to drive, there are safe, healthy relationships out there for you too. My brothers and my sisters, I love you and I want you to find that healthy relationship. Stop accepting less, stop accepting complicated. See the red flags for what they are and move on. Go the other way. This is what I have to leave to you.
Woo. Thank you, my sister. I appreciate your wisdom. And my brother Carl, man, this show keeps getting better and better. Love it, man. What an engaging show. Angela was on all cylinders tonight, man. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
Definitely appreciate Sister Angela and her input and the nuggets she dropped tonight. Thank you for being on here. I just tell you, when we talk red flags, I just say be cautious on what you deem as a red flag all the time too, because sometimes there are people, as we all are, we're works in progress and we've done the work. So where you might see something and say it's a red flag, it might be a yellow, it might be an orange, because that person recognizes it. If they can call back and, if they reach out to you or whatever the case may be and apologize, say, hey, you know what, I'm just working, I'm work in progress, and they're self-aware to those things. That's not a person to give up on. The person you really need to do away with are the people who can't admit that there's a fault, people who can't apologize, people who are not willing to let you know how, where you're at in the relationship. The people who are not willing to, if you're asking for a committed relationship and they're saying we're committed, but they're still playing with their bench. Those are the red flags. Those are the things you're looking at. When somebody sits there and says, I'm not sure, and I'm going to give you a good one. If you're dating someone, man or woman, and the person says, I'm not sure about marriage, but maybe you can change my mind, walk away. Walk away. Because you changing their mind, you could do something that changes their mind for them to walk away from you down the road in the marriage. So that's just something to think about. Again, if any have done that. So that's something to think about when you're talking to people. Pay attention to their words and listen to their actions are very key. But ultimately, you know, if you've done the work and you're out here, have fun, make yourself available, but you find somebody that you want to be committed to, have a conversation. Say, hey, I'm willing to be exclusive with you. And both of you have to define those boundaries and what that looks like. And going forward, so you can enhance the relationship. But again, like I said, it's tough out here. I hate it. I'm glad I'm not out here anymore in these streets, this cesspool of dating. But there is somebody out there for you. There is somebody out there for you. It's not like it's looking for a needle in a haystack. I used to think it was a needle in a glass stack, but it's not. There's somebody out there for you. You just got to position yourself to find them. You got to position yourself to be open, and it may not be your norm. That's all I'm going to say. They may not be your norm that you're looking for out here to make your relationship work.
Ooh, okay, brother. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. And before I share everyone with my final thoughts, please make sure you get Angela's book, Let Me Tell You What I Know, right here. I'm going to put it up right here on the screen. Right there. Boom. Love this book. Love it. Angela, tell our viewers where they can get themselves a copy of this amazing book.
Yes, you can find the book on Amazon.com. Just type in the title. You see my picture on the cover. And if you would like a signed copy, you can certainly message me on Facebook here, and I can mail out a personal copy and sign it for you. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, my sister. Okay. Love it. So before I provide you with my final thoughts, I just would like to say that human beings are hardwired to value things that are hard to attain more than they value the things that come easily. And when you address the red flags and don't accept any relationship title, that shows that you're a person of value, because you're not following the trends that exist in this instant gratification society of today. And as long as you continue to prepare and position yourself, then it will only be natural to attract the right partner who also have those same values. So once again, I want to thank this amazing panel, and much love to the DBDS family.
Take it away, Brother Mel.